Welcome back, players. I'm Jacker36Cancel, and Coco the Wise Cat is sitting next to me, warm and cozy against my cup of coffee as I record this fall update. Leaves on the trees have basically fallen, Halloween has come and gone, and as we look toward Turkey Day in the West, and any other day in mid-November in more civilized countries, it's time for me to arrive late to the party and do a fall update for what's been happening in Weiss Schwarz. And of course, this is in no small part to how busy my personal life has been. As I said before, I work full-time, and since I'm in the medical field, my hours have been crazy since COVID arrived at our doorstep. I'm also going to school again, hopefully to work toward a job with a better work-to-Weiss Schwarz balance, so I can reach a state where I spend at least equal time playing Weiss Schwarz versus making content for it, which this year has been wildly out of balance. But for that reason, there have been several videos that I've wanted to make that I just haven't been able to as the months have passed, mostly various deck techs and smaller discussions, and again, in the near future I hope to do better with that. Also, just on a player level, my locals have only been sporadically happening, and the game store that my small and casual playgroup congregates in is undergoing some changes in their business strategy, mostly looking to go online and more toward the distributor end. So not only have I not been out to play as often as I'd like, we find ourselves looking for a new place to gather on the near horizon. But despite all this, I'm holding up pretty well, and I've still got some great Weiss Schwarz related stuff planned for November and December, so don't go anywhere. Now with all that out of the way, let's talk about what's happening not with me, but with Weiss Schwarz, bushiroad, and the community as a whole, because there's a lot to cover. To open the update, I'm going to touch on the sets that have released since the last time we had the seasonal chat. The first of these was Kaguya-sama, Love is War, which had been a huge hit on release, and many players decided to pick it up. To this day, Kaguya is considered one of the strongest sets in Japan, and in English, its performance has largely been the same. In the shop challenges and online games that people have been playing, Kaguya has been proving to be both challenging and technical to pilot, but very rewarding for those who can master it. I've made videos about the deck, and there's a decent amount of gameplay featuring my version of Kaguya on the channel that I played in the shop challenges that have been happening this fall. Next in the summer was 7 Deadly Sins, bushiroad's next English original set to be released after Mob Psycho. 7 Deadly Sins is a pretty popular title in the West, and many English players and collectors alike were looking forward to the prospect of owning a signed Diane or Elizabeth. Overall, while SDS offers some cool defensive combos and has mechanics and character pairings that are very much in flavor for the source material, the set itself, in terms of power and cohesiveness, was lackluster at best. And now you can build the most meta of meta 7 Deadly Sins decks, if the word even applies, for around $50, as long of course as you stay within base rarity. Now, 7 Deadly Sins, as well as the sets to follow, did experience delays for their actual release dates, which given the state of the world's supply chains, should come as no surprise. But after having the date moved back, forward, scheduled to release simultaneously with another set, and then not, Heaven's Feel Volume 2 finally came out in English. Now, while the set as a whole didn't add a ton of cards to Fate's overall playable card pool, the things it did add have almost reformed how people have been building Fate. Primarily, the new Sakura finisher, which is actually an extremely threatening reverse Brainstormer, or Icy Tail as the community knows the effect better as, has totally taken over the level 3 game. Her and Oath of the Sword Saber, another level 3 with a whole other combo for punishing double cancel burns, has given Fate an entirely new and super scary top end that players have been embracing. I put a lot of effort into that Fate video I did a while back discussing the new Fate decks, so if you want to know more about that, check that out. But as for this video, we'll be moving right along into Slime Volume 2, which, while also suffering from delays, did manage to come out before Halloween. And holy shit is that set spooky. My buddy and I opened a case for the set, and it was super fun. Also check that out if you like opening videos. But as for Slime Set 2, I also made a set showcase where I discuss the ins and outs, so I won't be talking about it at length here. Suffice to say, the set introduced very strong new options to build multiple decks, from 8 choice to 8 standby, to just strengthening the 4 pants and empty gate build that was already very strong. It's also quite easy to build strong and cohesive slime decks using components from only set 2 if you don't feel like paying a premium for the set 1 stuff that has been out of print for a while. Because like other sets that have a Volume 2 come out later, and this was true for Fate as well, the introduction of Slime Set 2 caused anyone who still owns Slime Set 1 to sell it at a huge premium even if Set 2 is available for basically pennies on the dollar. The good news is that bushiroad has been better recently about doing reprints, including Day Day Live, which got a reprint in July, and Slime 1, which will be getting a reprint early next year. This has been a great year for sales for Weiss Schwarz, and with COVID coming more under control, it looks like we're in for more reprints to come, which is great news. Finally, at the time of recording this, SAO Alicization Volume 2 War of Underworld has just released. The consensus on Volume 1 at its release had largely been that while it did have some appealing points, it wasn't anything groundbreaking. So with the addition of Volume 2, many players are looking to builds with Volume 2 tech and combos that have almost no Volume 1, which again is great news for players who don't own Volume 1 cards, as again, those are going for a bit of a premium with the second set coming out, even as the new stuff can be bought for peanuts. I know I've said that before, and it's actually something I'm going to touch on later in the video. This set also introduced some new rarities to Weiss Schwarz, including overframe rares and numbered hot stamp SPs, of which only 10 exist. While you can still get normal SPs, I can guarantee you that the numbered SPs, now being one of the most exclusive products in Weiss Schwarz, will demand prices that not even the Colossal Titan could climb over. But moving right along, it's time to look to the future, because there are a lot of crazy things on the horizon. First, mid-November, Quintessential Quintuplets is releasing on the 19th. This is a huge set, and even has its own comprehensive trial deck product called the Quintessential Set, which gives you a playset of regular cards, one of each foil, and one SP from the 5 different trial decks that were available in Japanese. I'm working on a whole set showcase for this one, so stay tuned for more information. And yes, there's going to be an opening video on my channel for it. In December, we were also slated to get the Day-Day Live Extra Booster. Now don't worry, the Extra Booster is yellow and green and isn't geared towards supporting that obnoxious 8 standby Dow build that we all know and hate. In fact, it's very much its own thing, minus some level 0 tech pieces that could migrate into other Dow decks. This Extra Booster was actually supposed to release with its own surprise set, with sleeves, a deck box and separator, and one foil promotional card. However, bushiroad announced that due to a production error, this product would not be available until further notice, also clarifying that the EB itself will still be released on schedule, for now. But next, it's time to talk about bushiroad's Winter English Original, and there's a lot to say about this one, so buckle up. Ruby is coming out the 17th of December this year. From the time bushiroad announced that it was even piloting English Original sets, everyone thought Ruby was a top contender. It's a massively popular franchise in the West, and because of its long runtime, many people grew up with the show just as the show grew up with them. It's 100% a cultural icon for Western nerddom, and it served as a gateway for a lot of people who grew up on the internet into anything anime related. And while the character art definitely started out looking like some jacked up $3.50 DeviantArt commissions from high school weebs, it got better as it evolved and the show's artist improved. Of course, the 3D Western anime look is not appealing to everyone, myself included, so while it is popular and an obvious choice for an English original, Ruby was going to be a challenge for bushiroad to get right, so people excited for Ruby waited, and waited, and they waited because they wanted to see what bushiroad would deliver, but even as the pre-order window for the set came and went, we had nothing on what Ruby was actually going to look like, and this definitely affected people's attitudes on pre-ordering the product. Even in my local playgroup, people who liked Ruby and were excited for its release were hesitant to place pre-orders for a set that we hadn't even seen anything official for yet, and many that might have at the time didn't place any. But finally, in late October, far after most places were accepting pre-orders, we finally got our first look at Ruby. And yeah, look, this is tough for me to judge as this style really isn't my cup of tea to begin with, but everyone I talked with, and I did try my best to get a consensus, who does like Ruby, said that this is some of the worst material that bushiroad could have chosen for the card art. I mean, come on. Some of these look like butt. Somehow even uglier than the MHA card game, which I might have even picked up and started making content for if it wasn't so damn unappealing. People often make jokes about how bushiroad just screen grabs anime shots and puts them on cards, and while there's a time and place for that, where I think it's absolutely fine and makes for good card art, this doesn't seem to be one of those times. All the art we've seen thus far has been from very early on in Ruby's lifespan, back when the artists were still breaking in their chops, and a lot of the characters look rough, washed out, and their expressions and movements are, well, a bit on the undeveloped side. Universally, what I've heard from potential Ruby consumers near me is that they're very disappointed with what they've seen thus far, which is a damn shame given Ruby's popularity and potential to bring new eyes to Weiss Schwarz, and the reaction has been similar with the card effects. Thus far, what we've seen is mostly from the trial deck, including a Ruby combo that's kind of a basic Minabi Nita, a Weiss combo with a kind of bad factor fiction effect, and Ruby and Yang finishers that are kind of worse versions of existing cards with similar effects, and I haven't seen too much excitement around any of this. Now, the positive things I will say about what we've seen thus far is that I think the SPs and the fact that they have their characters' famous phrases on them is pretty awesome, and will likely make them attract for players and collectors alike. And again, as someone who isn't very into the style, I don't think these look half bad. We also have very few actual spoilers at this point, so there could be a lot better things, both in terms of art and card effects to come, and really change how people feel about RWBY so far. But in another positive about RWBY, bushiroad actually reached out to a member of the content creator community for Weiss Schwarz to help promote RWBY spoilers, which is amazing news. Lunchbox, or casually Weiss Schwarz, was given RWBY cards and permission to make an exclusive spoiler video for them by bushiroad. If you're curious at all about what these cards do and how the video shaped up, I'd highly recommend checking it out, and if you haven't already, subscribe to his channel as he makes great content for Weiss Schwarz. Congrats to him on getting Bushi's attention, and thank you to bushiroad for working with a community like this. I'm hoping for more of it in the future, and for more good things to come out of that collaboration between bushiroad and the community. Now let's move off of RWBY and go a bit further into the future, because there's still a lot to cover. In January, we're getting more Bang Dream. Yeah, Bushi sure likes to show their own properties. And this time, it's an extra booster for Rosalia and Poppin' Party, and a trial deck and extra booster for the new band in Weiss, Morphonica, and also featuring Reza Sullen. I don't know too much about Bang Dream, but I do know that Rosalia and Poppin' Party do not need more cards, and people are saying the Morphonica stuff is pretty damn good. So if you're an Idol fan, look forward to that. Then in February, we have Rent-A-Girlfriend. The art and style of Rent-A-Girlfriend, obviously on the Weiss side of Weiss Schwarz, is a departure from a lot of what we've seen recently, moving back to the light and colorful backgrounds and designs. It's pretty popular in Japan, and I know it's got some Western fans, so it's not a bad port choice for Bushi to make. But speaking of choices, we have Mushoku Tensei coming in March. And this is an anime you either love or hate. It's an isekai of sorts, with pretty questionable themes, at best. It's not for the easily offended or faint of heart, that's for sure. But say what you will, it's well written, raw in delivery, and has a compelling story, even if you feel like you're on 10 watch lists after downloading it. Though as for the cards themselves, luckily they're pretty innocuous and unlikely to piss off game store owners. Though it may piss off your opponent, as Mushoku Tensei has a reputation for being a pretty strong set. I won't lie, I'll probably pre-order some. Hololive is coming out on April 29th, 2022. That's all I'm going to say. Also coming in April is a premium product, one of the first in Western Weiss. Bang Dream is getting a BDR guaranteed premium booster that contains 7 cards, all foil, and 1 card will be a hot stamped Bang Dream rare. Like the release in Japan, this is going to have a limited print run, as many premium products do, so if you're interested in this, I'd highly suggest keeping your eyes on pre-order dates. Next though, we have another big title hit. Tokyo Revengers is coming to Weiss Schwarz on May 13th of 2022. And I do mean coming to Weiss Schwarz. It's actually getting a simultaneous release in Japan and the West. It's a pretty big title to grab for Weiss, and from what I've seen, people are pretty excited for this one. And you know it wouldn't be long until Fate Grand Order got another set. Oh yeah, we're still going strong, and this time it's a whole second set based on the Camelot movie. As a Fate fan, I cannot wait for this one, as the SPs and card art in general is absolutely stunning, some of the best I've seen. And it, of course, features some of Fate's best characters. Summer 2022 can't come soon enough. Now at long last, while we don't have an official release date for it, Danmachi, or Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon, is coming to English in summer 2022. Now this is a title that I've heard mentioned multiple times when people ask me about Weiss Schwarz and whether or not they have a set for this when I'm trying to sell them on the game, and of course it's largely popular in the West for good reason. We have some spoilers in Japanese right now, and man, I'm willing to bet this is exactly the kind of stuff that will attract the Danmachi lovers out there. I'm positive this is going to be a big one, so hold on to your butts for summer 2022. And holy shit, the release list is long this year, and even if it's a pain in the ass to cover in videos, it's a great thing for the game, because it shows that bushiroad is more confident in their product and its popularity, and also getting its hands on big titles, which of course is what keeps the game going. And by the looks of it, the game is going to gain a lot of steam with some of these new releases, and an increased availability of product, as supply chain allows for, of course. Now that we've gone through all the long list of products, it's time for the community news, and one of the big things to cover is bushiroad's Fall Strategy Conference. This year, the conference was mostly held via Zoom and featured a lot of pre-recorded segments with pretty bare-bones effort into marketing or promotion. I watched it live, and to be honest, it wasn't a very compelling watch. However, we did get a lot of those product announcements we talked about earlier, and the sentiment that in the near future, bushiroad does want to return to in-person tournaments. But as for this fall, the regional tournaments are, again, being replaced with the Bushiroad Rumble Online, or BRO for short. This will actually take place in January, meaning that aside from the shop leagues, there are no real fall tournaments from Bushi. Now, I will say the last time I participated in the online regionals via Bushi's Remote Fight Discord, I genuinely enjoyed the experience, and I'm definitely looking forward to participating again. What I will say, if anyone from bushiroad is watching, is that even if we do return to in-person tournaments on the regional level, I'd still like to see more online official events in this format. It would be great to run an official seasonal circuit for the game over a few months each season, and I bet a lot of players would enjoy it. As for the tournament itself, I don't have too many complaints about how it ran the first time, other than please give players more of a break between rounds, maybe an intermission after round 4 or something. It's a lot to go 30-minute to 30-minute round for that long, especially online. Other than that, good job overall, and I hope it goes that smoothly again. Now, to go back to in-person tournaments, other TCGs have started to hold regionals where to participate you need either a negative COVID test within the week or proof of vaccination, and I think that will be a smart way to go. Either way, I'm in favor of whatever allows me to play more Weiss. And speaking of playing Weiss, bushiroad isn't the only one holding tournaments. I've seen multiple people on the large Weiss Discords and Weiss Facebook groups holding their own King of the Hills, invitationals, and of course plenty of casual games. These days it's easier than ever to hop into any community online and just ask someone to play a game over webcam. I mean, heck, that's how I've gotten a lot of the games in that I do get to play. But that's been the case for a while now, and the player base is adapting very well to the COVID pandemic. Now let's move on to some other news. I'm a bit late to the party on this, but since it hasn't gone into effect yet, I don't feel too bad. Bushiroad announced not too long ago that the product specifications for Weiss Schwarz were going to change next year, starting with the Rent-A-Girlfriend booster released in February. For those of you who have never seen or bought Japanese Weiss Schwarz, it's actually packaged differently than English. Instead of the tall boxes with 20 packs, it actually comes in flatter boxes with 16 packs, but with more cards per pack, and come February, we're going to move to that model. Here are the actual numbers. A booster pack of Weiss used to have 8 cards per pack. It will now have 9, and that extra card can be anything from a common to an SP. A box of Weiss used to have 20 packs, but thanks to the increased cards per pack, it will now have 16. However, a case of Weiss Schwarz, which used to have 16 boxes, will now have 18 boxes. So now, a box while previously containing 160 cards will have 144, and a case previously containing 2,560 cards will now have 2,592. So what does this mean? Well, first, I hope that not having to manufacture 2 different styles of product packaging will make bushiroad's production easier and more efficient. Second, while the individual pack MSRPs haven't been rumored to change, a box of Weiss may become a bit less expensive, but a case may be a bit more. Overall, it's not a huge change at all numerically, and if anything, it has the potential to make products even cheaper for the average consumer. Again, this won't take place until February of next year, but in time, the shelf of boxes on my little YouTube set might be a display of antiques coming soon. And speaking of those boxes, while I can't claim that all of them are product that I've personally bought, the vast majority of them are. I have bought a lot of sealed Weiss Schwarz product over the years, and lately a good deal of people are doing just that. If you haven't noticed, prices for some of the new cards and new releases have been basically pennies on the dollar a few days after they come out, even if they're strong and meta-playable double rares. It's not often that I talk about prices in Weiss Schwarz or anything market related, but it's worth mentioning that right now, a lot more collectors' eyes have come to rest on the game. Many of them are hunting for those SPs and foils of their waifus, so while this has caused some increase in the price of older SPs, because of how many cases are being bought in search of those shiny needles and cardboard haystacks, the prices of base roadie cards are at an all-time low for new releases. This is amazing news for anyone who wants to give Weiss Schwarz a try, or even just wants to try a new set. And to all those who now own Weiss Schwarz cards but haven't played the game, I'd really encourage you to try it out. After all, what fun is having a shiny cardboard waifu card if you can't beat people up with it? Will things stay this way forever? Who knows? I do know that as a shiny hunter myself, this has definitely hit my wallet a bit since more people are looking for a limited number of SPs. However, I'd also argue that if you're in the market for SPs, you don't have much to complain about to begin with. All I can say is, let's all try to enjoy this shiny cardboard together. Also, please sell me Slime 1 SPs. Whew, that felt like a lot. And a lot did happen this fall. Honestly, I wish I'd been able to partake in more of it, but I only got to participate in a few shop challenges and play a few casual games. Even if having bought a case of Slime 2, I haven't actually gotten to enjoy the product too much. Again, I'm hoping that very soon I can get more active again, do more videos, and play some more games. But at any rate, you'll see me in the bushiroad online tournaments, and also, I'll be at Anime NYC in the game room. I'll be sure to bring some Weiss stuff with me in case anyone wants to play some games. So if you're going, I'll see you there, and if not, then all I can say is enjoy the winter holidays coming up, and look forward to more content from me and an exciting new year in 2022 from Bushiroad. And as always, thanks for watching. Peace.